All right, we are back here for another one here in the studio. Just hanging out. Have some friends joining us.
Always good spending time together.
It's so good to be together. And I'm going to hand it over to Phoebe to get us started here. You got to talk about what we're going to talk about today and also maybe give an introduction as far as our guests here.
Okay.
And we're going to start eating while you do that.
Okay. So today so the last time actually we already talked about something about actually we're all like centered with the culture. Last time we were more focused about culture and adaptability, which we already shared some interesting stories and some fun experience. So today, actually before I was pretty not like struggling understanding what other things we're going to talk about today. But now I feel like maybe we can just dive deeper into, because I think for most of our audience, even for those pretty experienced travelers, I would say, there's like very classic questions about how do you actually immerse into local culture. So it's like something like, I would say like, even if you see a lot of posts online or you ask your friends for advice, still something you're not able to do with a perfect But here today we're not trying to figure out like a perfect solution or a strategy for it. But maybe we can share some of the special moments when you guys feel like, because obviously you definitely have experience a lot of these moments during all your trips. Definitely there's some like, we say like struggle moments, or there's some moment you can have other, like any information or like the previous tips from other.
I think struggles would be great. Miscellaneous drunken behavior would also be great.
Yeah.
And if you could put both of those together.
Yeah, they often lead to struggling mornings the next day anyway.
And full days like today. Do you want to know how many bottles of soju you drank last night?
How many bottles of soju did you drink last night?
8.
You ate? It's pretty good.
It was impressive.
It's pretty good.
I think you need to make one friend very quickly. That's like a very important thing. If you can get one, if you're like, I don't know, basing yourself in a city like Beijing or Shanghai or anywhere, and if you can get one friend who's from there, that's going to be like a massive step up, because then all it takes is, you can forget about Google searching or ChatGPT, like trying to find answers or something like that. Is you can ask your now new one friend is, what is the most niche thing, like what is like slang words that I can use, or what do like everyday people like to do, and then like just little stuff where like, okay, so can we do that together? So for example, talking about drinking alcohol, it's like if you've got a Chinese mate and you like, oh, how do Chinese people drink? They'd probably say, well, you don't really, obviously you can and there is, but you don't really drink in bars. Generally, people tend to drink in restaurants, they eat food at the same time, things like that. So you might go, well, I've never done that before, I always drink in a bar, so how about me and you one day, let's go out and drink in a restaurant. Then you'll go to a restaurant, and then you'll find out that just little things like when you cheers, if the person's older or whatever, you go lower on the glass, so you might, cheers like that and go lower and look like, I'll try and go. And so then it's like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, now you know this like quite niche cultural sort of behaviour from that one friend that you've got, and it stems from there. And then by exposing yourself to like these authentic experiences, then it's like notice other stuff that happens around you. Like, I don't know, it could be a million things. Like just around me here, I can see people doing all kinds of stuff. Like for example, the cutlery. It all comes in this factor. It came in a nice little parcel.
There was a package,
And I think that's the thing, is that if you can get one friend, I think really it would be best if they're like an actual, like born and bred local. Obviously like an expat maybe who's been here for like many years is also helpful, but if you get a real local friend, then it's like, and then just like bombard them with questions. How do I do this? What's the most like what's the most like working class thing to do here? What's the most like fashionable thing to do here? And you get a whole spectrum. Because culture's a spectrum, right? Like, you can only really immerse yourself in your own position in life. So if you're a middle class person, no matter where you go in the world, unless you go to Monaco and then the wealth disparity and all that, but if you're a middle class person, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to assimilate into middle class culture.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Assimilate. I like that word. I also like what you said about when you do find that one person, it kind of like snowballs. So they'll bring you to a weird situation, and in that weird situation, you'll meet someone, and as long as you're game for it, and
That's
you
the
keep,
main thing.
and
You just gotta keep going for it.
and if you just keep requesting oddity / saying yes, you're gonna find yourself in weird situations, like really weird situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Like for example,
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
saying yes, as you've just said there,
Yes.
is the best thing that you can possibly do, especially if your friend is someone who almost gets a kick out of bringing you to bizarre places.
Yes.
So, most of the times that we spend with you, we always end up in some interesting place doing something unusual. And if I didn't bother doing any of them things, then the experience would be entirely different. So yeah, I think it begs the question: how do you make that one friend?
Yeah.
How when you arrive in a city, how to make that one friend? It's very easy to make expat friends. There's so many expat groups. There's so many, we have 10, 11 expat friends here in Shanghai, just because they all support Newcastle United.
You're the only foreigners I've interacted with in China.
Yeah.
But then, how did you make your first friend in South Korea the other day?
By drinking alcohol. Alcohol is a very good way to make friends.
I would say it's a lubricant to make friends. Can make it easier. But it's not necessary. You don't need lubricant all the time.
Yeah, I just think like drinking places are a natural social area. So people don't tend to go to coffee shops to socialize with everyone around them. So I think alcohol and drinking culture is a very easy way to get that one first friend. It's literally arrive in whatever city, just go on a night out, just go to one of the best bars there is, and you'll probably find a friend that wants to talk to you.
As long as you're game for it, the gamedness for it, more technical would probably be openness to experience, would probably be the technical term.
Let's go with game.
The finding that one person, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because there you just have to pull the thread.
I 100%.
I think it's important as well not to beat yourself up if you've not found that one person immediately. It takes time to find that kind of relationship where someone is abroad in Japan. Chris he spent ages living where he lived in Sendai, where he actually made his friend Natsuki and then changed his life. So
Gotta add context to that maybe. For people that don't know who that is or anything about what you just said, think of that bit of context to who that is, where Sendai is, or who Natsuki is.
As she stares blankly into the camera.
yeah, I mean, so it's just a usual.
So
Okay.
So to reference in there, there's a very popular YouTuber called Chris Broad who makes videos all about living in Japan.
Okay.
And being a foreigner living in Japan, and he's documented his life there since he went over there 12 years ago to be an English teacher, and he thought he was going to get a teaching job because you get allocated. You don't get to choose where you teach. So they gave him a teaching job, and then literally as we say, the arse end of nowhere. It's just this tiny little village with nobody around. And he spent months and months and months, no friends.
Only friend being an expat.
Yeah, his only friend was one expat, just working, going back to his tiny apartment, and then nothing. And then one time, on a night like after the pub, he was walking home, and some very charismatic Japanese guy shouted over at him, "Englishman!" and then had a conversation, and then that became his best friend, and then it like shaped his entire experience through Japan, like potentially added to a lot of the success that he had. So, like I'm saying, I think what you're saying there is that it might not come on the first night or whatever. You might not get that one leg in with like, you know, that one local friend that you might need, but it will happen eventually.
So there's luck involved.
Yeah.
It's partially luck, but it's partially you being open to it. Like when I used to live the life where I would bounce around a lot, which I don't do anymore, because it gets exhausting. That's another thing we could talk about, but we're not going to. Like before coming to Shanghai, I would be in a place for 2 to 3 months at a time, and that first week, I would know is I have to be out of the apartment for the week, and I have to say yes to anything. Any person who like invites me, I just have to do it, because the thing that's tough when you move around every 3 months is those last couple weeks you meet someone, and then you're like, I was just here 2.5 months and like was very lonely and exactly.
So what were your first few weeks like when you first ever came to China?
Well, I was lucky to be connected with her and her family and friends of family through a mutual party.
Right.
So that was a different story. But if I were to talk about times where I just showed up with a backpack and did not know anyone in the country times, oh man. Like when I was in Colombia, I would live in like co-living houses.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So for those who are in the digital nomad world, co-living houses, if you are kind of starting out and not super comfortable about the idea of being alone and or looking for opportunities to live more in a quote-unquote local situation, a host family, local roommates, etc., co-living houses are great because everyone's in the same shoes as you and they want to meet people and each other. I've also, Airbnb now has features where you can specifically look for rooms rather than houses, and it gives a little bio about the hosts. And a lot of the hosts who are specifically open their doors to foreigners are also super interested in getting to know foreigners.
Yeah.
And they want to show you the culture of where they are from.
Totally, yeah.
So yeah, those are a few different ways, but also again, it's just kind of like have a smile on your face and look like a generally positive person, and don't scowl at anyone. And a lot of places that you will choose to go because you chose to go there because it is a place where the people are cool and open. Like someone's going to come up to you.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time. Just don't have a scowl on your face.
Yeah. If you look happy in a park, you're gonna have like 100 friends.
Yeah, it's
By
that easy.
hour one.
It's actually something I mean, from maybe I can represent some of my friends who's like, maybe we do have some like travel experience, but most of the time we end up feel like even if we are able to communicate with the people who speak English, because I think a lot of young people like me, we do know how to communicate with people who speak English, but still we feel like struggling with like before like actually the first step how to like it's pretty hard like actually know like a friend from local for us would be like, oh, what if they're some like a bad person, or they just want to like end up like, you know, just leading us to some places which is super dangerous. So probably for most Chinese we won't trust the strangers, not to mention foreigners.
Yeah.
But sometimes we even like, you know, just get trapped with our own people. But that's the other story. We won't mention too much. But the thing is, we always want to also like you said, most foreigners want to hang out with the expats. Probably we will hang out with our own people. In Mandarin, we call Laoxiang. We feel safe. But the thing is, even these Laoxiang, our people, have more like they've been staying in that place for pretty long years. But I feel like sometimes if you really want to have like more immersive experience about local culture, probably you should just try to actually hang out with like a local person. Even if you become a friend at first time. That's why I feel like just go for it and just have a smile on your face and see how it goes. Just just go with the flow is pretty important. For us, we kind of overthinking too much about the possible risk, and we feel we might be turned down, and then we just end up like we're not going anywhere. We just follow those posts and those tips. We'll just take photos, show there that we've been here. Looks like we know something about the culture, then we leave. But in the end, we feel like we actually didn't get into that deep. So, but also I feel a lot of people, they actually, it's actually for people like for most people, it's take a little bit of time to actually just have the courage, to willing to be just go for it. So it's not an easy thing to do, I feel like, for most people. So I would say for you guys, we're calling you like more like active players. But not for people like us, who's more like a quiet player. We prefer to observe, then to see how it goes. So I'm sure you also will have this moment where you go to something which you don't have any connections from local. How would you start to play your game in the first time?
I mean, we obviously got like somewhat lucky in our first ever day.
Get some corn in your head too while you start thinking. Yeah.
We got very lucky in our first day in China, being obviously what we talked about in the last episode, which is our Hutong story, which is, you know, not speaking barely any Chinese at all, just enough to say hello and whatever, and then welcomed over by two Beijing veterans who, you know, in the end ended up opening their doors, giving us food and having drinks together and all the rest of it. And now our class, we class him as a friend. He's like a 62-year-old guy, but he's like my Beijing friend. And so I think if you're a shy person, it can be really hard. But like, yeah, China's one of them places where it's just like everybody's so open. We were on the ferry from Dalian to Yantai, crossing the Yellow Sea on an overnight ferry, and there was like a massive like a big dining room basically. There was just loads and loads of men and women all drinking beer, all having a right good time, being rowdy, everything. And we just went to the little sort of convenience store on the ferry, bought a load of beer, a crate of beer, got some baijiu, and I walked in there and I was making a video at the time, and I said like, let's see how long it takes before we're invited to a table to drink with people. And it was literally walked in the door and some guy went, "Lie, Goran! Lie.
Yeah.
It's like literally straight away, it was like, "Foreigner, come here. And then like all shuffled along, beers on the table, we're sharing out chocolate, they're giving us fruit, like we're drinking for like hours, and like literally within 5 seconds of walking into a room, it's just, yeah, and it's because we looked happy, we were participating in the culture that was there by, they were drinking beer, we had a crate of beer, so we're already like saying, look, we are also trying to do this as well, yeah, we're the same, and we also look happy. They're like, well, them happy people who are doing the same thing as me, let's do it together.
So I guess it's actually a pretty good tip for the other people if you actually want to like increase the possibility of being invited to like local people. Like I also try to be one of them doing those activities. Probably you can just start from like mimicking, right? Like you're obviously you guys are well prepared. You know, like actually you can foresee what would happen.
Well, if you're in China, for example, even if you don't smoke, carry around a box of cigarettes.
A lighter.
And a lighter. Yeah. Or just a lighter is cool too, because there will be someone looking for it. But like in Chinese culture, this is more so in the countryside, but you'll see it in Shanghai sometimes, this idea of just like...
Can show us how it works? Like,
yes, so people really like to give gifts, even small gifts. So that's why people will carry around snacks or candy, just to give something to someone. But cigarettes is a very common thing, and it also kind of invites someone to a conversation. Yeah. So it would literally be, you just pull it out, and I would just hand you a cigarette, and you would either accept it or deny it.
Yeah, but we're having a conversation about whether you want it or not.
So we're already starting. So that's a pro tip. In China, carry around a box of cigarettes, even if you don't smoke.
Also, if you're like outdoor culture is so big in China, because like apartments aren't massive, so people meet outside. And, like, say you're like, I'm feeling like I've not made any friends. I don't really know where to go from here. Always go to the pub and just dance.
Just dance there.
Maybe not by yourself. I mean, you could probably start a dance if you wanted to. But there are always Chinese, like, aunties and uncles who are dancing in the park just to keep their fitness up. And how many times have we gone to the park and just started dancing at the side? And then they're like, yeah, come. And then you go back the same week, and then they might be older than you, but it will be, how long would you reckon it would be until they were like, oh, I've got a granddaughter your age or a grandson your age, you should meet them.
The only issue would be if they could communicate with you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in Shanghai, there are a lot of older people who either lived abroad or like to study English as a hobby, or they're just genuinely interested in foreigners, so they'll speak a little English. But obviously that's a barrier elsewhere in the country, and perhaps in other countries there aren't as many people. So as long as you can communicate, that 100% that communication will happen. But that's the only issue.
What would you do? That's Paige. What would you do if you came to China completely by yourself on your first day and you had like a three-month study over here?
No local connection at first time?
Yeah, it's complete first time. You're just like,
I think I would find out where the hotspots are for things that I personally love. So I really like reading. When I went to the foreign language bookstore in Shanghai, there were people who also enjoy reading, looking at the same books in the same area. So you're like, oh, have you read that? And it's foreign language books, so you're going to find somebody who might speak a level of English. So you're like, oh, have you read that? Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, me and my friends, we have a book club. We all read this book. Do you
And
want
you're
to
in.
read it?
You're in.
I've
You're
got
in.
friends.
You're in. I'll bring the wine.
Yeah. I'm drunk now. Not now. I think that would be my in.
How about let's talk about maybe the Pakistan trip. And I would say some of my best experiences have been in places in which perhaps people who are watching from the countries that we are from would be opposed to going somewhere like that because they think that just the conditions are not adequate for them to have an enjoyable time.
yeah.
And I would say, the first thing I would say to that is after 3 days you adjust to anything,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's not really that big of a deal. And also, I think the most enjoyable, outrageous experiences more often happen in those types of places.
Absolutely.
So just what was the last video of the Pakistan series?
Deep inside Taliban market.
So just go watch the first minute of that video.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was in Peshawar, which is the city in northwest Pakistan on the Afghanistan border. And the last video we made from there was going to Kakano market, which is a Pakistan Taliban controlled market where it was formerly used to smuggle goods in from American soldiers in Afghanistan, in the war in Afghanistan, and they would smuggle American goods into Pakistan and sell them in that market. First minute of that video is us trying to leave the hotel and then having an entire squadron of the army waiting outside of the hotel with AK-47s and military vehicles, literally just sat outside the hotel waiting for me and Paige, like just to come out so that they could tell us that they've been sent by, the people who watch and to make sure that we're all safe. So we've been sort of had a few moments where people had been sent to check up on us, ask us how we're doing, ask us questions, keep an eye on us. Just a Pakistani intelligence agency. And at this point, because we were in Peshawar, they just sent basically an army sort of squadron there. And it was a good laugh. It was a really good time. And We had a good laugh with our guy. He wasn't allowed on the bus because he had an AK-47. AK-47s are banned on the bus in Pakistan.
Who knew?
So I told him that he ought to dismantle it into little pieces and put it in his pocket. But it was just a bit of a laugh. It was just good. And we went to the market. We were well protected. It was really good. Got a whole like M16s and all the rest of it. It was a lot of fun. But we were in Pakistan that trip for like 22, 23 days. And that was travelling the entire country from the southern tip to the northwest. And you're right, it's just like you get to a point where you have to realise that every person around you is equally, like physically, is the same person as you. They have the same body as you. They have the same like skin and organs and everything like as you. And if they can, and you see like old people, they're like, so these guys have lived here for like 70 years or whatever with the exact same body that I have. I will be absolutely fine on my trip. Like, it's not like, I think some people just go somewhere where it's like maybe really hot, maybe it's like got low hygiene, crazy traffic, pollution, like the accommodations aren't to the standard that you would get, you know, potentially in Far East Asia or in Europe, US. And they're like, I just can't do it. Like, I'm gonna get ill. I'm gonna die here. Like, I'm gonna get this and that. Like, so look at every single person around you who is living in them conditions, if you want to say that, every single day. You'll be fine. You get a good night's sleep. You have a good meal. You meet good people. And you have a good adventure.
I think there's also the connotation that these types of places that have lower living conditions are also then more dangerous. Like there's this logical A to B,
Right,
which we don't need to get into it too much, but again, the countries that we are from, I think are actually more dangerous than most of the countries in the world right now. I will say, there are hot spots in South America, there are hot spots in Africa. Obviously, the time we've spent in Asia is very refreshing as far as, look, like bad stuff could happen. But I've heard so few stories compared to other parts of the world. And so, for example, like I think the Southeast Asia is, if you are sitting in the UK or the US and you've never left and you're looking at the pictures of that place, you like can't even fathom the idea of being there because you think it's just dangerous and dirty and poor and all of these things.
Yeah.
One, it's actually not as dangerous or poor as you think it is, but specifically that dangerous part, like I think for some reason, not for some reason, I get why people make this logical conclusion, but like lower economic conditions equals more dangerous.
People assume, I think the consensus is that people would assume that if you have less, then you want more. And so people assume that it is dangerous for a foreigner to go to a place of low economic sort of power, or low sort of, you know, household incomes, because they will, such an arrogant way of thinking that they will somehow see you and realise that you have expensive things, and they will suddenly just want to, you know, leave all their honour of their families behind to commit heinous crimes of robbing you or whatever. It's like,
I remember seeing like it was a meme of a sort where it was like you've seen how like they'll send American high schoolers to go build a school in XYZ country, right? And I think it was a European was making this judgment of Americans where it was like the Americans, like their thought bubble was, oh my God, they don't have air conditioning, like what we can do. Oh my God, they don't have Amazon 2-day delivery, like what can we do? Whereas there's this idea that all of these extreme comforts of life, if you don't have them, you're suffering.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of suffering in the world, especially in a lot of these places. But a vast majority of the people are actually very comfortable and happy.
Yeah.
And again, are not.
It's all relative, isn't it?
It's all relative. It's all extremely relative.
for example, here's one. China is the other side of the spectrum. So, you know, I'm not somebody who sits here and says that, you know, everything about China is so amazing. So, for example, China has the world's greatest product delivery service, right? As far as food, groceries, or basically any single thing that you could think of is it can be delivered to you sometimes within like 15 or 20 minutes. Like right now I could literally say, oh god damn it, I want a pair of scuba diving goggles, and I could open my phone and type in scuba diving goggles if I need a Chinese characters for it, and a man would walk into this restaurant right here and give me a pair of scuba diving goggles 20 minutes later, and I would have paid about £2 for them. That is something that China has. It has, you know, the Waimai, the food delivery. It's just opening up, and you could go like, oh well, I want literally one single chicken fillet from KFC, but I also want like 3 McDonald's chips, and I want like an entire salt-aged fish from a Croatian restaurant. And you can go bam, bam, bam. And then you sit in your hotel room, you get a little ring on your phone, you open the door and there's a roadblock outside your door, and you open the door and you've got a salt-aged fish, 3 McDonald's fries and 1 single fillet of KFC in your little bag. That is something where you'd be like, wow, like this is the most convenience thing in the entire world.
Well, and the relative part, when they go to Thailand or they go to Bali and they don't have that, they like complain like crazy on their Instagram. But I think I know where you're going.
So my thing is that and then it's like, you know, for example, then because of this service, you have all the Waimai bikes, the delivery bikes, which are these basically like electric mopeds just bombing up and down the streets, every direction, everywhere. And I found that recently we've just left China and came back today. And in this last 10 days being outside of China, we went to Seoul, South Korea. And the second I arrived, I just felt like the noise and the chaos was gone. There wasn't delivery drivers flying about the place, and there was wide pavements I could walk down leisurely, and like I never had to look over my shoulder, which I wasn't gonna get like killed by a big yellow helmet man. Like, and it was like, it was quite nice to know that like, yeah, we'll just go and walk, and we'll just pick a restaurant and we'll just eat there. Like, and it's not that you can't do that here, but the sort of desire for that unbelievable.
It's so convenient for you. But you're like, well, why would I have it any other way? Because I can have it the most convenient way possible, so I will.
Exactly as you wanted, just like lying in bed, people have a steak dinner delivered to me, and it's like, but actually I found that when I had less, when I didn't have that ability, I quite liked that. I thought that was too much. So just going to that point again of like, people, if you don't have Amazon, you don't have this and that, and you're like all of a sudden like, oh, they must do without. It's not true, because and I'm saying that because I've seen it from having too much. I think China has, in my opinion, too much. China has too many things, and then I went to a place with less things, and I was like, this is better. This is nice. Like, it's quieter. It's less noise. I don't mean actual physical noise. You know what I mean? I mean actual like, just endless things and screens and everything everywhere. And it's just like, you know, you go to like a Thai island, right? Or like a Malaysian island, and you start to realise that roads are overrated. It's like, yeah, we don't really need roads. Like, cars can drive on dirt. Like, do we really need roads? Like, and you're like, do you know what I mean? Like,
You don't need roads.
it's like, if you go to places where it's like, it's just like a hard brown surface, and it works perfectly well.
What you like to YouTube and you traded that alligator for the next day.
Yeah, I mean that stuff's. Excuse me. That stuff's in there.
But it's stuff like that like you think that like, oh well, I've not got 25 quid to buy a bed for the night. It's like people in these remote places aren't spending 25 quid. They're like, oh look, I have something I could give to you, and in return you could give something back to me. It's all about the give and the take rather than the exchange of monetary value.
That one's on the extreme side. That I guess on what?
Well, and I will say, again, I think some of my most enjoyable experiences abroad. Oh no. Some of my most enjoyable experiences abroad have been in these places we were just discussing.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of thinking, if we're talking to the 18-year-old that just graduated high school, or the 22-year-old that just graduated college, and you have some money saved up, and you're thinking about taking the leap of traveling, but you would go to one of these places because you could stretch your money a little more, but you're worried about your safety. Like, I can't take full responsibility with what might happen to you, but the chances of something happening to you in New York City versus Bangkok versus Shanghai
So yeah.
versus even Ho Chi Minh City.
You know, I think London is the stabbing capital of the world.
Yeah, you guys aren't doing well right now. So again, I can't take full responsibility. And again, there are some if Southeast Asia is a good place to start, and then build your way up to like South America, for example.
Yeah.
Because I have gone to the bus station and hopped onto a bus to the next available bus to go to a random town and hung out in that town.
Yeah.
And I did go to the town square, and a man did warn me about the security of my organs. Like I've had those experiences.
Is your organ security up to date?
My organs are okay still, but I mean I have been in those places where those things happen. Even then, if you have your wits about you, I feel like I should go down this road because I'm going to be encouraging people to just go wherever you want to go. You need to build up those street smarts, I think. But again, if safety is a concern, if sanitary concerns, I mean, I guess that does suck. When you get food poisoning, it does suck.
There is nothing worse.
It's one of the worst things in the world, yeah.
But you live.
Just about.
The last time I had food poisoning, I actually thought I was going to die. My heart rate was like
But you didn't.
25
But you
beats per minute.
didn't.
Oh.
Anyways, all that is to say is that some of these places you might think are extremely dangerous, are extremely uncomfortable, inconvenient, and why would you ever want to go there? Are actually some of the most enjoyable places in the world.
Go and find out why. Go and see it for yourself. Don't look at news.
Don't
have a look at it yourself.
That's a great tip. That's a good tip.
I mean, it's like, obviously, if it's like, you know, Somali pirates running ravage over every hostel or whatever, then yeah, don't go there. Or
And if
obviously, like,
recently
Laos.
news, if one hostel is
you gotta look at that, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's extremely sad and that's extremely important as well.
Context.
So yeah, in Laos, in Laos and Vang Vieng, a very lovely backpacker town there, a hostel called Nana Hostel decided it would be a smart idea to cut costs and to save about 1 pence by diluting down vodka with ethanol and serving free shots to get people into his hostel, which looks like a shit hostel anyway. And just like, yeah, just, you know, you've got these young backpackers who we've been there ourselves, me and Paige have been there.
there's never been a time where Jack and I have gone to a hostel and they've offered a free shot and we've said no.
Because it's just like,
so ingrained into the backpacking culture.
yeah, and it's also like, you know, when you're backpacking and you go to places like Laos, it's one of the cheapest countries in maybe the world, I guess. And it's like, yeah, because a lot of people are going there because it's so good for their budget. They want to backpack for as long as they can. They've got a set amount of money. And then they go somewhere where it's like, oh, these are doing free shots, so we can have a really good fun night out with all our friends, and it's an amazing time. And then some guy has to, you know, out of pure greed and, you know, potentially malevolence, has, you know, created this poisonous concoction of ethanol and vodka, and 6 people thus far, it could be more, but as we're calling this, 6 people have died from ethanol poisoning. So obviously in that sort of scenario, yes, you need to be you know, looking at the news for things like that, because that's a fact, that's something that happened. Whereas that's a specific hostel with a specific product with a specific outcome. But something like Bangkok is dangerous. That is not a specific thing with a specific outcome. So yeah, in that sense, then it's not worth, you know, paying much mind into them sort of news articles. But really, I
Like
think
so many times, like when you're traveling, say you said you were going to Colombia,
Yeah.
and then people, how many times have you mentioned I'm going to Colombia? Somebody's responded with, "Be careful of the cartel." I'm not doing anything to get myself involved with the cartel. So the cartel is not on. It is on my radar, but it's not on my, top list of things I think I'm going to get in trouble with.
We always say this, yeah, because Koh Tao in Thailand was also, it went through a phase from about 2012 to about 2019. It was like a long period of time where backpackers would end up just dead on the beach, or like they would go on a night out and then they would be dead. That's the next time they saw them, and it got a name for itself called Death Island, Koh Tao. It's a beautiful island, really nice place. Have you been to Koh Tao? Yeah, sort of like scuba divers paradise, lovely place in Thailand. And it kind of came out that the Thai mafia kind of controls that island basically, and Thai police don't really do much about it, and a lot of like dodgy stuff happens. And so it kind of led the questions, this is like Mafia Island, Death Island, all the rest of it. And we kind of came to the conclusion that if you go away, this is the same for Mexico, same for Colombia, same for Nicaragua,
Sicily.
Honduras, Sicily, wherever, right? If you go away on your holiday and you end up having a bad run-in with the mafia, you probably did something wrong. You probably deviated away from your original holiday plans if you've managed to have a run-in with the mafia. I'm not saying that's all the time, but when people go on nights out and get enticed by nefarious things, narcotics and all the rest of it, that's when you start to go, I'm stepping one foot into that world of things. So again, I'm not victim blaming or anything like that, but it definitely can be fueled or prevented by your own decisions.
100%.
Yeah, you have to go back to why did you originally travel to that place, and I guarantee it weren't to sit and do drugs in a nightclub. That's probably not why you
And if it was,
if it was, you probably chose the wrong place. Yeah, I think if you go back to why you got on that flight in the first place, yeah, obviously there's bad people everywhere and things can happen.
but most people are good.
Yeah, but I think the final point on that is if you judge a place to be dangerous primarily because of either its like how rich or not rich the place is, or how hygienic or not hygienic the place is. If that is what affects your judgment of how safe the place is, then I'm sorry, that's completely wrong.
I feel like I've definitely learned a lot. For me, like I definitely know experience as you guys. So I was thinking maybe for most people, obviously I feel like the first thing when they decided to actually start their let's say the culture the immersion tour, the first thing they need to do probably just cast away their old mindset, right?
Yeah.
Also figure out what the purpose of doing this trip. Obviously this trip can be if they decided really to go deeper, or maybe they just want to start to maybe just to take the first step, maybe not that adventurous, really to some dangerous place, but try to have a change. So they probably need to also just get themselves prepared that there might be even if not dangerous, but might be something just not maybe happen at not as they wish, exactly something they will have in their home place, right? Have to get prepared at least for this.
Totally. Yeah.
I think nobody travels for the comfort of home.
Well, I think there's also different definitions of travel.
Definitely.
Because I think for a super majority of the people in the world, travel means vacation, it means holiday.
Yeah. It's to go.
So I think
somewhere
maybe we
more
should add that definition to our list of terms here for this conversation. When we talk about travel, it means going to the market and hopping in the back of a truck and going wherever it is, and finding a family to take you in, and then having them direct you to your next destination.
Definitely more on the adventure side of travel rather than on
Yes.
the Bill and Marie on the 2 weeks Maldives.
So the past half hour we've just spent talking about that is probably more directed to people who are younger and looking to just kind of like, for lack of a better term, kind of cliche, like explore the world. This is not for someone who's taking an expat assignment in a capital and they need to wear a suit to their job. This is not for people who need to wear suits. We also definitely serve people who wear suits, but this conversation about, again,
The conversation about making friends still applies to those wearing suits.
definitely applicable to people that wear anything, actually.
Nothing.
Even nothing.
That's actually
There's
ironic.
places for
There
you
are
to-
places.
Yeah, it's actually ironic in nature, but actually, if we just go back to the topic where we talk about the culture immersion.
Yeah.
Actually, so before, like, I understand you do try to make sure that people try to, like, if they do want to have like some culture immersion, they definitely need to be prepared for this unexpected things happen. Like those, probably the example you just showed them probably a little bit can be a little bit extreme. But also what we're going to discuss today is more about what if, for some people who wearing suits, or all those people who just want to, I just want to have a training, I want to just take my first step about just have a little bit of the culture immersion things. But what if I don't want to go to something that suit to them maybe still like a little bit too much, too adventurous. What if you just go to like some like random small town or just some kind of country which is they think it's okay for them, but still they're looking for like culture immersion, or just try to go deeper into local culture. So there must be we call it a more safe way to do that. So
There's got to be a better way than getting on the loose cross train or hitchhiking or...
So in order to do that, I feel like it's more about the mindset. Because obviously, when you like mention like, if I go to like, I'll say I would ask you to visit kind of a random, say it's like a small town in France, which you don't have any connections there, and obviously I don't think you would know too much about the language there. But also people may know how to communicate with English, but still like it's obvious that super like totally just a strange place for you guys. So even if it's town like it's super safe, not any big events happen there. People just like normal people.
Still be hard to assimilate.
How would you start to make it, or try to start your own like culture immersion?
One thing I would like to make people aware who are possibly going to do that, and this is more so targeted towards my fellow countrymen and women, and I think you guys might get it as well, but especially for us. Where are you from? The United States. Especially somewhere like France.
Yeah.
Automatically. They're just gonna like...
Yeah.
So you have two options. You can either lie and say Canada, and they might like it more. Or
You might be expected to speak French then.
True. You need to enter that conversation or that interaction or just that time in country, understanding the host country's perception of you and people from your country, and think about ways to combat that right off the bat. Because if you respond super loudly, right, and you just had like, I mean, you guys can see it if you were to meet an American who spent a lot of time abroad, an American who hasn't really left, you within 5 seconds are gonna know.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? So I don't know how you can necessarily combat that without putting in the hours and having the experiences and understanding what that is and you changing as a person. But I think just knowing that going into it you're gonna get that is important, and you're gonna tell us about how you start to integrate into that society. What are some things you think about when you're somewhere for a long time and you want to start to become like them in some way? How would you slowly begin to become French, for example? 3 months, you really like integrating into societies in some way. You like to learn the language.
I mean, France would be quite good because I'm a massive red wine nerd. So, yeah, I mean, I'd just be
More
like...
drinking.
Yeah, just, alcohol is like my answer to most things. I think That's a hard one, isn't it?
I think the first thing that we do when we go to a new country, if we don't speak anything, get in a taxi or the first person you speak to, ask them a question. Just, oh, do you know which way the bus stop is? Yeah, you're going to ask it in English. And you go, oh, thank you. Oh, by the way, how can I say thank you in your language? Could you teach me a little bit about you? Could you teach me, mercy. And then you use it immediately. You like absorb it and then you use it and then you say it. And then the next time you speak to somebody, you go, hello, please can you help me do this? Mercy. Actually, how do I say hello? Like, how do I call somebody my friend? Oh, no, thank you, my new friend. Like, and then you start the building blocks of creating it. And then I think it's just absorption. Like, spend time outside. Don't spend time like being inside and finding yourself, like secluding yourself and trying to keep up with back home, like by staying like online and stuff. Like, it's truly like cultural immersion. It's like, okay, well, what do the French people do? Well, I go out every morning and I look around and I see everybody with a coffee and a cigarette. So I'm going to go and have a coffee and a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go and sit where everyone
Yeah.
else is having a coffee and a cigarette. And I'm going to go have a coffee and a cigarette. And then it's like,
Mimicking.
yeah. And then you find your way into the culture. Oh, people have a croissant next. I'm going to go have a croissant.
Oh, terrible.
And then you just
It's interesting because it's like, even if it's not like a social society, even if it's not like an openly open society, if you just like start by just doing what they do, even if you're doing it by yourself,
Yeah.
you're like, you're already running.
And expressing interest. So that's why I really liked when you were like, how do I say in your language?
Yeah.
If you express interest in someone's culture, and specifically down to like, not just the country, but like the region of the country or that specific city. So like when I was in Medellin, like I wanted to learn the Medellin slang.
Yeah.
When I'm in Shanghai, I want to learn Shanghainese in addition to Mandarin, right? I want like the specific part. And when you can really narrow that down and you show interest in that and express interest, you're going to be brought in. But yeah, again, I think also being interested in becoming like them is a prerequisite,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, you've got to have that reason to go there in the first place. If you're going to go there for a long time, you must have things that you like already. I think there's very few people who go to a place completely blind and are staying there for several months.
As well, like, a lot of it is mindset. Are you going to this place for another stamp on your passport? Or are you going to this place because you genuinely have an interest?
we
You
talked about this
genuinely
last time.
want to?
Yeah.
Number of passports, or number of stamps in your passport, or countries you've been to, as a metric of you as a traveler. When someone opens with that to me, like, and the thing is, it's tough because like, as much as I'll talk trash about like, someone's on Kosan Road and they're having a pad thai and they're like, oh, I'm fine, I did it, I'm having an authentic Thai experience. Like, no, you're not. But it's also awesome that yes, you're not in your country. In the same way, when someone uses number of countries they've been to as a metric for them as a traveler, I automatically know like we aren't doing this for the same thing. I think the metric we came up with was number of hours in uncomfortable situations in different corners of the world. That's a good metric.
If somebody was like, oh, I visited 7 countries in Southeast Asia, or they said, you know, I spent 7 months in Southeast Asia, so 7 months sounds so much better because you're like, oh, you spent time there, rather than like 7 months. That could be like 7 days. Like 7 countries could be 7 days.
Well, and so I was when I was in Sarawak this summer, and I was right on the border of Brunei, and I was like, should I do it? I go to another country. I just have to change my flights. It'd be a little bit of a hassle, but like I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
The fact that I went, like, Sarawak is almost considered another country. And when you're in China, like, you can spend years here and go to every province, but if you go home and they're like, you only went to China, like, you don't even know what you're talking about. So I think intrinsic interest is super important, as well as, just putting in the hours of general oddity. Oddity is important. What else is on our agenda? We have to keep talking until Jack comes back, because that would be awkward.
Yeah, I was actually, because for today, I feel like it's actually a good way for 4 of us to get together. Because for me, like, I probably can represent most of the audience, but actually, we do have the impulse to try to do whatever thing you guys do. Probably a lot of people just saw the videos people posted on YouTube, say, "Oh, I'm gonna try this." It's trying to go to like super strange place. I try to do myself. If they can do it, sounds like they're enjoying themselves. I can do it.
Yeah.
Sounds maybe a little bit silly or very stupid. Yes, but I think a lot of people were saying that. But the thing is, even if they watch the whole series of a podcast where they are already well prepared, even they have the local connection. But the thing is still
You have to do it.
happen the way. So even if you have like a well-connected local friend, you're able to communicate, and he or she is pretty considerate. They arrange all things for you, but still maybe you feel like hesitate. Oh, I actually don't. Why don't I just stay at home? Why don't I just watch some Netflix or just watch some videos, just enjoy myself? I don't want you to just hang out with some strangers.
Yeah.
All those local, like some peasant people to me, just to have dinner with them. I just feel like so tiresome. I don't know how to handle the situation. It happens a lot of time. So I feel like still like as we're talking about that, also like I agree with that you can't seclude yourself from certain kind of things. Also it's more like sure it will be as we talked about before. It's like you should like have the courage or just try to just bring up your genuine curiosity to those unexpected events and try to say yes to them.
Definitely. I truly believe in like fake it till you make it. Like if you do not have the confidence to do something, you need to just do it.
What would a person who does this normally do?
Yeah, exactly.
Fake it till you make it, man.
Is that what we're saying?
That's what I say. Like when Jack and I went full-time YouTubers, we had 1.5 series out. We didn't have a backlog of content, and we were just like, well, we're gonna pretend to be travel vloggers for as long as it takes to become a travel vlogger.
Yeah, but that's just like it's just like putting yourself in the place to do what you want to be doing.
Yeah, but it's the same. I'm gonna pretend to be French until I am French.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'll be Shanghai.
So-
I'm Shanghai. And I say that to you all the time.
it's because you're doing it. Yeah. So it's not that you're actually faking. You're just
No, I'm
actually.
not like faking being French, like putting on a moustache every day, being like.
So that's why, again, when they'll say, oh, they'll bring me to introduce someone, they'll be like, 我的外国朋友 I said, 什么什么. I'm like, no, Shanghai人. And they were like, oh, ha ha ha, yes, 我们的 like 外国 Shanghai 人, like foreigner Shanghainese. I go, don't add the foreigner part to it. Shanghainese.
But I
You only
guess
speak a little bit of Mandarin.
You can only understand simple.
Simple bits.
Yeah.
but also speaking of the language, I feel like because like when I asked you about the child, like so you guys should be like a random small town in France. I couldn't help it. Even like for me, if I can speak like some English. If I were like I'm about going to Newcastle, which is someplace. Maybe I can Google it online, but maybe just some random like small town here. If I could use English, I feel like. Well, even I've heard all strategy, I still feel struggle because I feel like, oh, what other people would judge me if I do this? Will I be considered as like a rude person or weird person? Because obviously I'm the only foreigner there probably at some time. Can I just show up at the pub? How do I kindly ask people if I could join them? It's so many questions around me, and probably I might be crushed by all this kind of sorts, and I will be like, okay, I give up. Try it another day. Let's continue. I would just like some kind of the weird or the freak something, just wandering around the town and just couldn't just take my first step.
Yeah.
I think never giving up is important. You could go to the pub and be called a freak 10 nights in a row, and then you go on the 11th night and you meet your person. You meet the person that's like, you're pretty cool, I like you.
You quit, you succeed, or you die. Just don't quit and try to not die.
Remind me one of my friends' stories couldn't help. It's really funny because the other Shanghainese who like didn't know like obviously he didn't learn the geography well about the Americans, so he just chose a school like university in Texas.
Okay.
And he didn't and he thought he definitely can communicate with people, but the first day he's like, we have like a WeChat, and he's like, hey, what's up? He's like, do you think people can really speak English? I said, yeah, of course, US. Do you like make other like, or maybe I said something maybe Spanish or other like language.
Yeah.
He said, no, I'm pretty sure like they definitely all speak English here, but just, we can't communicate. I mean, what do you mean you can't communicate? See, he's trying to communicate, because he's kind of a super open person, definitely super open than me. Then he's like, okay, I'm gonna just grab some drink, and I'm just after random like he wants to make friends with like an old dude there, who's sitting at the outside of the local supermarket. He's like, hello, I'd say that. And this old grandpa didn't didn't respond to him. It's like, oh, maybe I'm rude. But he's like, I don't think it's because my manner. It's more about like he just can't get me, or maybe I just can't get him.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I feel like it's one of the I think he really did well. Like even if he felt like super frustrated, like feel like want to give up, he didn't quit. And my assumption would be maybe the grandpa saw it was too tiresome for him, like keep nagging him. So they started to actually interact with each other. Then 1 month later, when I check like everything's going on, they become best friends. He definitely just, I don't know what magic he used, but definitely this old grandpa like agreed to like give him a ride on the, how to say, like the tractor or something.
I don't know. Let's go with tractor.
Sounds
Tractor's
great.
great. Keep going with tractor.
Yeah,
like
tractor.
this.
they are just like drive all around and show like some of the picture. Unfortunately, I can't show them to you guys because I maybe deleted somehow. And he's like, you never believe we actually be friends, and because he obviously can't buy the car, so the grandpa's like, you can just, I can give you a ride if you want when I have some time. And they just like, I think it's some tractor, which maybe the grandpa transformed the tractor to somehow kind of like a truck or something.
Either way, they became friends.
Yeah.
And persistence is good, but familiarity is even better.
Exactly.
Right? So if you are asking this guy the first time you meet him to go on his truck 6 times and he says no, that won't work. But if you see him 6 days in a row or 6 weeks in a row, and he's now familiar with you, people are going to open up. So that's an advantage to someone who's somewhere long term. Is that, like, this when I was in the 3 month phase, I would choose one restaurant near where I live, and I would go there every day.
Yeah.
To the point where I walk in, I don't say a word, and the food is put down in front of me because I would get the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And then all the other Taiwanese would look around at me like what? Like, what is going on?
What was it?
Just dumplings and greens every day.
Nice.
Dumplings and some greens. But yeah, familiarity is super important.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of these things that we talk about are normal, like, social, psychological interactions and like balances that in general, it doesn't, we, like, a lot of this stuff, we're just applying the cultural lens to it.
Yeah.
Like, familiarity and persistence is going to work if you go to your hometown pub and want to try to make friends. But when you take that and then put it in a context where you're abroad, it works as well. So yeah, and again, like this idea of adaptability we talked about one time, like the skill of adaptability is something you can do in your hometown when you just have to adjust to something. But like when we apply it to this lens, it's the same. So a lot of these rules of social interactions and trying to attract people to you in the sense to want to interact with you, like, we're all the same.
Yeah.
Like there are cultural taboos and quirks and nuances, but like at the end of the day, a lot of the rules are the same.
Yeah.
There's a reason Dale Carnegie's book is translated in every language. It works in every language. Fun fact, Dale Carnegie's book in Chinese, literal translation, how to exploit people's shortcomings or something like that?
Yeah. Strengths and shortcomings of people's, like, the human nature of people.
Yes, regardless, there is a human nature aspect to this. You thinking it's different is all in your head. We're all the same. And most people are good and want to hang out with you and want to get to know you.
Yeah. I've got a good app for people. Good website. It's called Meetup.
Okay.
It's very good. You just like put your interest in a city, and it'll tell you every event, and you can sign up to the event. You pay for it if it needs paid for, all in the app. So that's how. So we have previously lived in Valencia in Spain, and lived a very, very assimilated life, I would say. And started that whole thing off by I wanted to play football, and so I literally typed in football Valencia, and there was a group of people who were playing football like twice a week, and there was a meet up on the first day that we arrived in Valencia, so we went there, and like first time was like met a few people but didn't really make any friends. Maybe second or third game, met this one English lad, and then we became like a good friend, and then we all started to like group up together, and before we knew it, we were friends with local people, and it's like now all of a sudden part of the community there.
Yeah, so those sort of regular activities, daily things. So if you're someone who goes to the gym daily, coffee shops that you can go to every morning, again, familiarity. If you see someone every week, if you see them every day, and also, side note, gyms. If you also want to learn the language, do group classes. Because I just got drilled in Medellin every day in Spanish, just telling me to do more push-ups. That's another tip. But these things that you're already going to do anyways, do it at the same place each time. People are going to see you and naturally just feel familiar with you, and they're more open to interact.
Yeah.
And
The other thing I want to try to bring up is I feel like I really just want to try to discuss, because a lot of people obviously, I feel like if you want to actually become like more aware of the importance or the fun of having yourself and fully immersed in local culture, this actually should be originated from the genuine curiosity about actually maybe just because your local culture. Obviously, a lot of people when they figure out they can just like bring up their genuine curiosity about other local culture, because maybe they actually don't know much about their own local culture, or maybe they don't know how to, even if they're in their own place, their hometown, maybe just in their district, their neighborhood, they actually don't know much as they thought they would. So I feel like for a lot of people, before they actually want to like throw themselves into a super strange place, I was thinking maybe it would be possible if people can start, maybe it's a warm-up exercise. They can start to like figure out how to immerse into their local culture in a brand new perspective. Kind of like just kind of like a quick like warm-up things they can do. Is there any advice?
I will say it's a good warm-up, and it's also a good way to, when you go back. I think I remember the last time it was 2.5 years ago. I was home for like a summer, and there were a few people who were like, there were a few Chinese that I would hang out with, or just people who grew up elsewhere, and they were living in Rochester, and we would speak, and like I'd be like, oh, it's just being home, it's just all the same, and like I just don't want to feel like I'm not learning anything, and they would be like, now that you have the perspective of being abroad, why don't you view this place and examine it in your head in the same way?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Once you leave and then come back, like the way you view Newcastle, you can kind of remove yourself a little bit and look like as if you're looking in.
Yeah.
You can play like tourists in your own city and stuff. It's a lot of fun. We've done that several times. Yeah.
But again, for people who haven't left for an extended period of time already, what you just said would be helpful as well. Is, again, if we talk about these ideas of maybe not mimicking, because you are those people, so you already do it, but observation, right? And kind of like how they carry themselves or act, or the demeanor, or these social interactions. If you can start to develop this skill of observation, you can translate that into your host culture when you do decide to take the leap and go there. Yeah.
I will also give like one more tip.
One more tip.
It's actually I learned from you, because before, like when you were, well actually I want to say thank you, because before, like,
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
The French concessionaire to me is more like, oh, every day I know a lot of tourists come to my district, come and go. But before they even start to ask me, I know exactly what are those places we want to? 新天地, Tianzifang. 新天地is known as the like foreign pub area, or the other like White Road, some like shopping paradise area. Or they just want to. I know they want to just for the French companies definitely go to the Muji, Uniqlo flagship store there. I know exactly where they're going to. For the Americans, go to Xintiandi and thank you. I know no need to thank me. I know exactly where you guys are looking for pubs. So it's like for me, it's like the place I live so boring, just tourists. Where we are actually, I feel like the existence of our place is just meant for tourists. But when Max coming, and the first things he asked is like, can we just check out those old people in the park? I was like, excuse me, you want to check? But yeah, I feel like those people actually before, like for most young people, their image is more seeing like that super annoying, like just like super, like sometimes do this so childish behavior, like just super rich retired people. They just don't care about anyone. They just being so reckless and bold and just like do whatever they want because they are just so rich and they have still plenty of time.
And it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, but it's awesome. Yeah, I agree. And after like, and at some point I feel like I started like when Max actually explored all the corners, not only our neighborhood but also like other places. I feel like sometimes I have to say I feel like I'm more like a tourist compared to Max. And he knew how to like. Sometimes we went back to some area. He's like, oh, turn right, now turn left. I'm like, how do you know that? I'm the person who raised a bone here, but it actually is right. I was like, oh. And also then I started to. That's why I raised that the warm up question. I feel like even for me, I would literally just live in this neighborhood for more than like 15 years. But with Max, I feel like it just have just a brand new perspective.
Yeah.
I feel that's why
new lease of life for your own neighborhood.
That's what, like, everybody loves showing off their own town.
Yeah.
To whenever a family member or a friend comes over, why wouldn't somebody want to show it off to you in a different country? Just because you're not a friend or family.
100%. And on that note, we're gonna wrap it up and look forward to when I can show you around my hometown. Which is probably the next time you guys we're gonna film one of these. Might be in Rochester.
That would be fantastic.
Where would we do it? Like on a farm or something?
We
I don't know what
could.
Rochester looks like. You know what? I'm not going to. I promise you, I am not going to look up on Google or anything a single thing about Rochester.
Don't.
I'm just going to turn up expecting
The Kodak store.
the Kodak store in small town.
Kodak did not adapt to the times, so Kodak's not really around anymore. Kodak is really only like it's like fashionable from the disposable camera, so people make bags about it that you bought, but other than that, Kodak's not really around anymore, unfortunately. But we'll find something. Yes.
I mean,
yes. Make it happen. Yeah, we'll keep talking, and you go ahead.
should I?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. So yeah, Rochester. It's gonna be fun.
It'd be amazing because I've only ever been to America twice, and both times are to Florida, and that's like its own country
Right.
and has its entirely own people and culture. And
Well, and that's the thing, again, is if you go to New York, you go to LA, I'm sure you could get yourself into trouble, but like generally people just go to those hotspots.
Yeah.
But if you just want to see a random place
yeah,
where you're 6 hours to the nearest airport, international airport, then come on down.
come on out.
I want that. I've always said that to Jack. I want to, like, in the movies, when people turn up to like random bars in America and they're like, "You're not from around here, are you, kid?"
Yeah, I want to go to like a dive bar, like a shit dive bar.
That's done. It's done.
Where-
It's already
where
done.
Everyone's
It's done.
stood up on stools.
It's done.
And they look at you when you come in. You're like,
It's done.
I'm drinking here every day.
I've seen you before.
It's done. Easy.
That
Easy.
sounds amazing.
All right.
And then they're like, oh, they have to like pass a drink down the bar. Yeah.
I don't know if we do that. We might have to head south for that. I don't know if we do that. But after Phoebe just gave me a lot of face there, we will then turn to face to you guys. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
always coming to Shanghai. And You flew in specifically for this conversation.
That's true.
Okay.
Specifically for this podcast.
Literally got a 24-hour visa just to
Sit down and film
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And so we want to say thank you in general to you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Always coming, and we love helping out and putting you in weird situations. When you ever ask about weird places, she'll always search the internet and give some weird recommendations.
Yes, every
But
time.
also, I believe it was a special day this week, a couple days ago and or yesterday. I just remember that I saw it really quickly online. I can't remember exactly what day it was, but it's a reverse. You got to go the other way around. But instead of bringing you to Heidi Lau and having them take care of it, we wanted to do it
Lao
specialized for you. And so we want to wish you the happiest of birthdays, 生日快乐, and we have a bit. Did we get it wrong? Was your birthday was?
Yeah, no, it was
25th, 2 days ago.
So this one,
We got another one. Hold on, we have
so many crumbs.
so many crumbs.
What
Okay.
lovely people these are, by the way.
I'll open this. So you can share.
It's a thing we can share. What are we gonna share? Open it up.
Probably need to bring borrow a lighter.
Do we have lighters?
We don't have lighter.
We gotta make this happen. We don't want to
One of these bad lads enough.
What do they have?
Claim some space for the.
My goodness, I'm overwhelmed.
Trying to get the
You
hand
like the
signal.
color?
I love it. You guys know me so well.
How do you say lighter? Do you know how to say lighter? You should know how to know. 火气.
对，或者 or our teacher style you can say 不好意思，借个火
接个火. Oh, 这是
，right？
Well,
去给我这个后，服儿。
wait, I want you. If you could try it, I think that would be even better.
我是这个后，
这就是借个火，
借个
借个火
IE fourth tone 个火 right here. There's your boy.
好你好，请给我一个这个火，什么这个火？是没有火，
接个火就是火鸡。
火是没有火味啊。
好。
我是明火。
No.
I got that entirely wrong.
Is this allowed? Are we allowed to light candles inside a building?
This is China. Do what you want.
This is Shanghai. Thank you very much.
Shanghai more or less doing.
Yeah, probably have to see it.
That's true.
Oh my god. She kept talking about how she wanted some
You want to
cupcake.
show the camera about?
Sure, go ahead.
谢谢你，谢
Sorry.
谢老板。哇，这个很酷啊！这是你的吗？这是你的吗？
通死的.
Because we're obviously we don't want to try to.
All right, let's light them up.
Yeah,
We'll put 4 of them on the table
sure.
and throw the candles in there.
You can use the plates actually.
We can use the plate, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nothing
yeah,
can
the
go
four
on the
in.
ground.
Yeah. Careful with.
This is so nice. These look amazing as well.
Yeah.
Should we-
Unbelievable.
Should we ask if one of them want to join us for a cupcake?
Sure, that's why we choose cupcakes. You need to share it.
Okay. All right. Let's light it up.
Oh, I don't want to ruin it.
They're so well decorated.
Yeah. I don't want to.
Oh yeah. No, right in the middle's fine. Right in the middle's fine. Right in the middle. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. It's okay.
Well,
Hey, Jeff one.
Oh, it's nice.
All right. Oh.
Huh?
一起祝他生日快乐。可以，好，可以。现在吗？
所以就
好，谢谢。
谢谢。
可以唱一个什么？
就個你見測新嚟㗎。
One moment, everyone. One moment, please. Oh, 老板， If the boss is coming over. Is the boss coming
Boss
over?
will come here sing the happy birthday song. Oh my god, it's not.
All right, the boss is now communicating. Now they're trying to figure out how they're going to resolve the situation here. Oh, he's pushing him back. He might be. Oh, they're coming. I think they're coming.
He's organising a team
Oh,
building
this is going to be
exercise
so
here.
good.
We're getting the whole team together.
Cool.
This is so funny.
What's going on now?
Oh, let's go. 可以哦，我们放吗？
啊，
我们放音乐吗？还是你们放？
我给你们放，拿音响。
可以，
Cool.
Okay.
The bird speaker.
可以。
Wow, that's pretty fresh.
So fresh.
I mean, this is what if I think Heidi, I mean, everything's. That's not like unreal, but
So for those listening, we should guess maybe we have some cupcakes in front of us. We've had a meal in front of us the whole time. We are currently no, thank you. Yeah. We are currently awaiting. I think the staff is going to wish a happy birthday in a very public way. Oh, there it is.
oh, it's the same version.
This is the Heidi Lao. Okay, song.
There's the staff.
Okay, they've started playing music. Oh, okay. This was their way of doing it. Is someone going to come over, do you think? Or
You asked for.
I think they're trying to make it louder.
Wait, we gotta wait for the end of the.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was their way of doing it. Okay, they're just playing music.
just gonna play the
I think
music.
everyone's a little confused. The workers are definitely confused, but all the patrons are just kind of hanging out, enjoying it.
You enjoying?
Yeah.
All right, here it comes. Here it comes. Quiet, bye. Oh, bye, bye.
Bye bye.
Hi. We don't know.
I don't know the words.
Yeah. Quiet, love. Oh, the Laoban's coming over.
Oh,
The boss is coming over. All right, the boss is coming over here. All right. Yeah. 生日快乐。
恭喜发财。
谢谢。All right.
谢谢大家。
All right. Let's wrap it up here. Let's eat some cupcakes.
Birthday.
All right.
Thanks for being here with us.
And thank you guys once again for coming to hang with us in Shanghai quite often.
It's always been very lovely. We love you both.
Yeah, have such a lovely night together.
Thank you.
All right.
Until
Let's
next
eat.
time.
Get in there. All right.
Let's get a cake. Which
Yeah.
flavour?
Should I
People
have
love
this
it.
one, please?
Yeah, sure.
You'll go for chocolate.
Oh, I didn't see the.
Yeah,
this
this
one,
one.
please.
This
You
one,
know
the
me
chocolate.
so well. No, vanilla.
Oh.
please.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's been dying for a vanilla.
All right. Everyone grab one.
Yeah.
Hi. La 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 la
This
la la.
one, the
Hi.
chocolate.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Well, I am older now, so.
Okay.
All right. Cheers. Cheers.
Yeah,
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.